I think actually the idea has probably become a bit less radical than it maybe used to seem. I think one of the interesting things of the past year, has been just how normalized the idea is of giving people support, because we've been in a situation where almost everyone has needed some kind of support over the past year. I think it's really interesting looking at what's happened in the US. They've had 3 rounds of massive, stimulus checks going out to households, covering, I think, nearly every household, something like $6 trillion. And then I think you look at the situation that we've got. I mean, even that isn't, a universal basic income, but they pumped absolutely trillions into supporting people during the pandemic, and of course now Biden has too. And I don't see why we can't do something more ambitious here. We absolutely need a sort of British rescue plan. As Rosie said, the gaps in our safety net are absolutely appalling. Family members and friends, and I'm sure we've all heard stories of people having to rely on £92 a week, when they've been ill during this pandemic, and having to rely on statutory sick pay. I think it's also worth looking at, what the problems are that we're trying to solve, because I think although universal basic income would solve many of these, I think we also need to address some really other major problems. The collapsing bargaining power over the past few decades, with trade union membership halving. I think a universal basic income would give people a much stronger negotiating hand with employers. Being able to say, no, I'm not going to take your 0 hours contract on minimum wage. I do have a choice. I think that's also something that needs to be addressed through industrial power. High rents, clamping down on exploitative landlords, and skyrocketing rents, and the absolute scandal that is how low wages are in the UK. So I think we need to be looking at this kind of holistically and asking what are the problems that we're trying to solve through this policy, and there are clearly many areas that Britain is really failing on, even compared to other countries like the US.